Are you ready?
For Murph's Magical Creations. Home to custom laser engraving and gifts. This veteran-owned and operated company engraves for all occasions. If you want one of Murph's Magical Creations, call the number on your screen or commission through either Instagram or via email. Murph's Magical Creations, made with love for you.
Starbase 1552 Comics. We sell everything a collector would want. Comics, Funkos, action figures, and so many more. A real American comic book shop. We are online only. Starbase 1552 Comics. Find us on eBay Auctions.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, it's a new life. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.
Live from the virtual Sin City in the virtual Las Vegas, Nevada desert here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We bring you tonight's Cruising Classics Next Gen Series round number 2. Nighttime race here in the desert. You see the Nellis Straightaway qualifying has begun here. And tonight, myself, Tyler Dittmer, and Blake Lothian will be bringing you the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series at Las Vegas as these drivers tame the 1.5 mile circuit. Blake, Your first time here in the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series booth. Glad to have you with me tonight. Glad to have an additional broadcaster, and Glenn, glad to have our producer Dean Hopton back here tonight as well. Should be a great race, a track that you're very, very comfortable with and that you seem to enjoy as well.
No, of course, I absolutely love this place. About 20-degree banking in the turns here, a little bit of character in turns 1 and 2 at least, a little bit of bumps in turns 1 and 2, and then pretty long back straightaway into turns number 3 and 4, which is relatively smooth. And you have a little bit of a apron that you can take advantage here on the front straightaway.
That is going to be the passing place, I believe, today, Blake, as we talk about this apron. You see the drivers are going to use that a little bit in qualifying to cut that 1.5-mile circuit, make it a little bit shorter and improve on those times. So far, Jamie Barkas is leading the way up front. He ran a 29.448. Second, Mark McCrary, Brandon Evans, third. And last week, Blake, the drivers were at Daytona, a completely different style of racing, pack racing, pushing each other, 2 wide, 3 wide. What do you expect from the drivers tonight, and how do you expect these cars to handle a little bit more differently?
No, of course, and I tend to say that the real season starts now. Of course, Daytona has its own kind of skill sets that a driver needs, but you typically will not use those skill sets that often. As you see McGuinn going up to P5 there in the number 6 machine. There's different skill sets that you'll tend to use on 1.5-mile tracks. Like for instance, it's lots of on throttle time, but not as much drafting as you'll see at like Daytona or Talladega, for instance.
Yeah, as looks to be we're riding on board with the Robert Barber 57 machine. You mentioned Cody McEwen moving up to the 5th position in that number 6 Ford. We just saw him moving up to the 3rd position. Last week's winner, Steve Tucker. Right now, I believe he's the only Toyota entry. And it's important that we bring up these Toyotas and especially the Fords as we look at Rob Barber in the Chevy. But the Toyotas and Fords just received a new update from iRacing, changing over the noses and also some of the other bodywork on board, Blake. The Toyota is now the Toyota Camry, I think XSE, and then the Mustang is now the Dark Horse, different body style that the manufacturers have brought to the Cup Series this year. Now we're looking at one of those Dark Horse Mustangs with the driver of Cody McEwen, that number 6. So getting to look at that new nose, Blake, do you think that'll have any impact on how these cars drive, handle, their ability to maybe even push one another?
I think it might have some effect on how drivers may be able to push and also drafting up to each other. NASCAR offered all 3 manufacturers an opportunity to change the bodywork for coming into this real-life NASCAR Cup Series season. Only, the 2 manufacturers took it, Ford and Toyota. So it's interesting to see. Obviously, they saw points that they could take advantage on for the wind tunnel and other stuff. And it'll be interesting to see if it reflects on the sim.
As we look at the track and weather info here. Nice cool 66 degrees tonight. Track temperature about 67, 68 degrees. It will heat up a little bit throughout the evening, but it should stay relatively calm throughout the race as it is cloudy. A little bit of wind, not too bad, Blake. And we've seen in the past, in the real world, wind playing a big factor in handling in these cars at Las Vegas. Not a lot of wind tonight, but like you mentioned earlier, those bumps in 1 and 2. What are we going to expect from the drivers kind of handling throughout the race tonight?
It'll be interesting to see for sure. I mean, obviously at the beginning of the run, it's going to be a little bit tighter, especially with a little bit looser on exit, especially with the lower tire pressures. It'll be interesting to see as the pressures come up and as the tires begin to wear, where the groove is going to be, if it's going to be all the way up against the fence or down low by the apron.
Yeah, as qualifying has completed, we're going to give you your starting lineup for tonight's race. On the pole, that's Jamie Barkas in the number 15 machine, that Chevrolet. He'll be joined by another Chevrolet on the outside, Mark McCrary. Then in row number 2, you have last week's winner, Steve Tucker, in that lone Toyota entry with Brandon Evans, guy who made a lot of moves, didn't pan out for him in the end last week. He'll start 4th. Cody McEwen and Patrick Drabrick will start in row number 3. Row number 4 will belong to Jake Ellingson and Bryson Myers, my apologies. Row number 5 will be rounded by Robert Barber and Scott Formosa, and row number 6 will have Chris Sawyer and Kyle Westby.
7th place will be Jake Elkston. Let's go back down here to 13th and 14th. Brandon Barrier in 13th. 14th, George Jewell. Kenneth Bartholomew in the 15th place. Chance Taylor in the 16th position. John Anthony in the 17th position. And Colin Lanford 18th. Brian Pravo 19th. And Tanner Bethia will round out the top 20.
Looking back throughout the rest of the field, that's Joe Hobbs, Dustin Hardy in row number 11. Row 12 will have Bobby Germain and Doug Ellingson, the other Ellingson driver. Then looking back in row number 13, and the last row of the grid, you have Jamie Perkins and Alan Marshall. 26 drivers in the field tonight. We appreciate all of those tuning in tonight. Please let us know who you are rooting for, as well as any other drivers you're supporting throughout the race tonight as the field begins to roll off the grid. A little bit of a stack up on the inside line. The first, second driver and third driver in line not moving there. Like a couple of contact there between a couple of other drivers, Blake. As we talk about this race, 100 laps here at Las Vegas. It doesn't really seem like a lot, only 150 miles, but with the no stage breaks for those of you from the NASRA audience coming in, what is that kind of mindset coming into this, knowing that you don't have any guaranteed breaks at all?
So you tend to kind of ride. You kind of fight for position a little bit early on in the race, and you just start to kind of ride. Kind of like in the 24 hours of Daytona, you kind of find your rhythm, you kind of ride here, where you are trying to find like that 85 to 90% mark and try not to hit the fence. So you try to kind of settle in for a rhythm, and probably towards the end of the run, you just start trying to get the most out of your tires, try to prepare for that pit stop.
Yeah, as these drivers, the field ready to roll. That's 26 drivers, 100 laps in these Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. These drivers are ready to roll. The first real test outside of Daytona. No more super speedway racing, ladies and gentlemen. These cars are going to be a handful early and often. We'll see how they handle the bumps in the inside of a 1 and 2 as they get up to speed. Jamie Barkas, your pole sitter, waiting for that iRacing pace vehicle to pull down the virtual pit lane, ready to get this race underway. 100 laps, round 2 is officially green here at Las Vegas. Jamie Barkas gets not a great jump. Mark McCreary already jumping up to the outside. And you have Steve Tucker, Brandon Evans pushing there on the bottom. Steve Tucker's looking for a way through this field early and often. You can't find any move there. We're going to be 2 by 2 by 2. Call it 13 rows exactly. We stay very organized as they exit off of 2.
Something to note there on that initial start at the 83 of Mark McAnthony there. Might have spun the tires there on the restart. That's something to maybe watch if you have older tires and restarts.
Yeah, these drivers now fanning out 3 wide, even 4 lanes of options here at Las Vegas, going through 3 and 4. And you mentioned, Blake, 1 and 2, very different from 3 and 4 here. 1 and 2 has those bumps. 3 and 4 has a much smoother surface, as now you see at Steve Tucker, the inside of Mark McCreary. He's going to drive through those bumps, see a little bit unsettled. Mark McCreary should have the run down the back straightaway, but call it even for the battle for second.
Side by side into turns number 3 and 4, the 24. All the way along the bottom, along that white line, a little bit higher up is the 83 machine. As we're right on board with them coming off the turn number 4.
Yeah, riding on board with Mark McCreary, you can really get a sense of the banking here at Las Vegas. Even the front straightaway doesn't look like a lot of banking, but there is some here as the Kingsport, Tennessee native rolls through 1 and 2. He's above those bumps. You don't see it bouncing, but you see there Steve Tucker got very unsettled, and that car kind of just shot up the track a little bit in the middle of the corner there, Blake.
Obviously, the car getting a little upset there on the exit here. These next-gen cars, it's so hard to explain how sideways these cars can get and how the bumps can really upset these race cars. You see 3 wide further back in the field, but obviously a great battle here for second place.
Yeah, I think it's hard to explain with these next-gen cars. It's a different steering mechanism than we've seen in the past with NASCAR, different than what we see in the trucks and the Xfinity cars. And it causes much tighter steering ratios, and it causes the wheel to kind of bind up in a way that it just snaps loose and is very, very difficult to save. But it also makes the car a lot more bouncy as Mark McCreary is going to climb the banking. He's going to go all the way to the outside. And you're seeing drivers now trying to find clean air, right? Mark McCreary running that high line. Steve Tucker has been running in the tracks of your leader, Jamie Barkas, now in 1 and 2. For the last few laps, he's going to run there again, and that's going to cause that car to get tighter. Just kind of explain, Blake, from the driver's point of view, how you're going to try and manage getting that clean air to the front nose of that machine.
So something we like to use in real life is just kind of, oh, here comes the 83 around the outside. It's going to get side by side for the lead. Off of turn number 4, it's going to get a little tight here. Off of 4, down the front straightaway we go.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we expect to see from Las Vegas. 3 and 4, the outside lane having the advantage. For those of you who've watched the NASRA series in the past, the truck series actually, DSR Electric Truck Series on Monday, driver lost the race by giving up the outside in 3 and 4. The other driver received momentum and was able to win the race in the last lap in a very, very close finish, less than a tenth of a second. I'm excited to see kind of how these drivers handle the lanes, as now we see a battle for third heating up with Steve Tucker moving to the outside with Patrick Drabick below him now. Going through 1 and 2, the advantage should be to the smoother lane, but Patrick Drabick's able to drive in, stick to that bottom lane, Blake. We're seeing drivers, all the way to the white line, all the way up against the fence, but right now it's a 4-car runaway up front.
And here we go. Obviously, side by side, it's going to start slowing down that advantage. Now at the same time, 5th and 6th, and all the way further back is all side by side as well. But we have a battle for the lead here. Off of turn number 4, the 83 side by side with the 15. As you go to the line, oh my goodness, what a race we're having up front.
Yeah, you see him cutting that course there. We talked about it in the pre-race, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see that. That's perfectly in bounds here at Las Vegas. Out of bounds at Daytona, Talladega. But well within play here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And this 2x2 action with these leaders isn't seeming to hurt them right now. Last time by, they ran 29.6s, low 29.6s. The 5th place driver, Jake Ellingson, who's with that second pack, was running a 29.68, 29.7. So not losing a ton of time despite the very heavy battling up front here between these top 4.
That's really interesting to note because the 6th and 7th place, I believe, are actually single filed out now. So it's really interesting that they're not able to make up any ground on these leaders that are all just 2 rows of double file here for the lead. This is amazing racing.
Yeah, you see the front 4 right now all within 0.2 of a second. Then you have to go back 1.8 seconds to that's the 5th place driver of Jake Ellingson. We'll see what lap times look like this time by. It looks like 5th, 6th, 7th. Now 6th and 7th battling, but 5th place is single filed out. He did run a little bit faster than everyone last time by. He ran a 29.6. Leaders ran a 29.7, 29.8. So maybe we're seeing that this battling up front affecting tires, Blake, but also clean air hurting lap times right now as the chase is on for the backfield.
That's something to note as well, especially with the dirty air here. It's something that we tend to note in real life is that sometimes you just try to keep that headlight out a little bit, and it helps you get a little bit more downforce. If you look further back in the field, 3 wide. I can't tell what position this is for, but 2 wide, 3 wide further back in the pack, and they're having some pretty good racing.
Yeah, we're looking at Chance Taylor's machine there. That's number 14 on the outside in that black and blue and white scheme on the bottom there. That's the 11 of Bryson Myers in that all-white paint scheme. Back up front, though, now we're seeing Steve Tucker go all the way to the outside. Mark McCurry on the bottom. Jamie Barkas on the outside for the lead. They're going to run side by side again towards the start-finish line. Give that lap. That time it looked like to Mark McCurry. Hard to tell, though. Super close battling up front. Like, these drivers are really pushing it early as we're only 12 laps in.
And I don't think they're saving much tire, which is something interesting to note here. Lap 12 of 100. How is that going to affect the tire wear? How is that going to affect the race later on? Are they hoping for maybe an earlier yellow to get those tires a little bit earlier? Or are they just pushing, or just maybe trying to save a little bit and seeing if those other cars are able to catch up or not?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're saving much right now. Last time by, the 5th place driver, Jake Ellingson, ran a 29.65. The leaders ran a 29.79. So, actually, correction, he ran a 29.58 this time at the line. So, starting to close that gap. 5th on back. They're now 1.5 seconds back. And looks like the 6th place driver, Robert Barber, who we rode along with in qualifying, is starting to bridge that gap as well. Then you have to look back further. 7th, Brandon Barrier, they're not closing the gap. So 7 on back is not closing the gap the same way that 5th and 6th are to those front 4. But now the front 4 are single file, Blake. Is this maybe like a discussion you have as a driver telling, hey, we need to stop battling, because if we continue to battle the way we are, we're going to bring everyone else into this race?
No, 100%. That's something that more comes into play on super speedways. But just as we say that, it looks like they started getting double filed again, maybe for 2nd or 3rd position. But typically, sometimes drivers will try to have the conversations over iRacing channel. Like, all right, let's try to single file out here. Let's see if we can try to pull away from this pack.
Yeah, we'll see what lap times look this time by. And it looks like drivers, I mean, this past time, Jamie Barkas, your leader, ran a 29.64. 5th place of Jake Ellingson ran a 29.62. So now the lap times have balanced out a little bit. It's going to be, can Jake Ellingson get the tail end of that draft from the 4th place driver, Steve Tucker, who's now fallen back to 4th, with Mark McCurry falling back to 3rd. Patrick Drabeck has moved up to 2nd. But it's going to be that balancing act as you see further back there at the field. The 3rd place finisher at Daytona, Tanner Bethea, currently in the 10th position. Oh, that was close by Bryson Myers there. Contact off of 4, exactly, Blake. As he gets squirrely, saves the car. Just absolutely amazing. And it didn't look like a lot, Blake, right? Oh, we're going to see contact there again, maybe with the 11 as well. We have a driver coming down pit road. I'm not sure who that is. But now this entire field is stacked up due to all the contact. They've lost a lot of pace there through 1 and 2. Now back 2 by 2 by 2. That's Chance Taylor there in that 14 machine. But it looked like Myers got involved there with, I want to say, Colton Langford in the 25, that orange and blue car as well. So maybe these drivers are losing a little bit of patience, but also losing a little bit of the right front.
No, 100% the right front. And also something to note, this is further back in the field where dirty air is more in effect, like 91 The 91 machine of Kyle West got really loose off of 4 last time around and just kind of had to track up a little bit, got to the side, nearly got to the side of another driver. So that's something to note here. Dirty air is a very big factor.
As it looked like Jamie Perkins was the one who came down pit road. Now Kenneth Bartholomew is coming down pit road. Those two drivers struggling right now, pitting quite early into this race. As you see, putting Jamie Perkins a lap down there. That's your leader still. Jamie Barkas, Patrick Draybeck, the front 4 are single file. But 5th and 6th have closed the gap. Jake Ellingson is now under a second to the leader, Blake. He is starting to bridge that gap, and he should start picking up a draft on these straightaways. And
something to note that I'm a little bit concerned about for Jake Ellingson is that if you're pushing now, you might be pushing pretty hard, or maybe he's just still running the same pace. You gotta be careful about that right front. If you're pushing a little bit harder to try to catch this group, by the time you catch up to that group, your right front might be overheated, and then you pretty much have no chance to get a pass.
Yeah, I want to kind of stick with this camera angle real quick, producer Dean, if we can. Watch his hands, and this is kind of showing you what the driver is experiencing here. 3 and 4, pretty stable, you know, a little bit of slight countersteer, a little bit more there. I was expecting off of 4 there. But I want to watch here going into 1 and 2 as we're right along with the 5th place driver who has closed that gap now. He's officially with that front 4, in my opinion. He's trying to get down, but man, he gets really loose there. You see a lot of countersteer, Blake. I thought I saw it last time through. Now we're really seeing it on the exit here.
I mean, you can really see that. Maybe the right front's getting overheated, maybe the tires are just getting overheated, but he's closing very quick. But closing's one thing, passing's a complete another thing here.
Yeah, and that's something we mentioned. It's one thing to catch the guy, but it's another thing to get around him. But he seems to be the only one who's bridged the gap. The 6th place driver of Robert Barber is still about a second behind this lead pack of now 5 drivers. As you see, Steve Tucker and Mark McCrary side by side for the 3rd position. And we appreciate all of y'all tuning in on the NASCAR 360 Racing Network here this evening for the Crusin Classics Next Gen Cup Series. Contact almost there between Steve Tucker and Patrick Draybeck in the middle of 3 and 4. That was really close there, Blake.
That really was. I mean, that could have been our first yellow of the night. Luckily, it was not, and all the drivers are still rolling clean here. As we go back into turns number 1 and 2, I can't help but imagine that some of these drivers just kind of, it's all right, let's just save our tires here. Let's be smart. Let's try and make it to the end here. Let's make it to our first green flag pit stop and see where it goes from there. Well, as I say that, side by side for lead off the 2, the 07 of Patrick looking to the inside and almost 3 wide here in turns number 3 and 4.
It might be 3 wide as we come off of 4, Blake Lothian. Steve Tucker may have found some speed here. He went from 4th to 3rd quickly, and now he's going to give a bump to the back of Jamie Barkas, skipped by Patrick Draybeck going into 1 and 2. He's looking for the lead. That 24 machine has seemed to have found a little bit of pace here late in this run. We were a little concerned about running in the same line earlier, but now he seems to have a much more comfortable car as he's really close to the wall there off of 2.
It looks like he might have even scraped the fence a little bit. But these bodies, it's so much more forgiving. You can kind of scrape the fence a little bit and still get away with it versus the old damage ball where if you hit the fence, your race was relatively over. Right on board here with Mark McCreary in the 83 machine, the Chevrolet, driver out of Kingsport, Tennessee. As we ride back again into turns 1 and 2, I'm just curious to see how loose he gets this time. As you see, the double file in front, I wonder how much the dirty air is going to affect him here.
Yeah, Jake Ellingson has closed the gap and is now gotten by Mark McCrary. As you see, oh wow, that was another close moment for Steve Tucker there in that 24 Toyota. Drivers are having their hands full right now. Yeah, that looks to be,
the lap car on the bottom, luckily he dove all the way down to the apron, but I was about to say that lap car is going to make things interesting here in turns number 3.
Yeah, that looked to be, I want to say, it might have been Kenneth Bartholomew or Jamie Perkins, the lap car there on the bottom of the track. But now you're seeing this back and forth kind of action with these drivers. They're kind of trying to balance each other out. As we see now officially Steve Tucker getting by Patrick Draybeck for that 2nd position, running behind Jamie Barkas. Mark McCrary gets back around Jake Ellingson for the 4th position. But Ellingson's going to go to the bottom here in 3 and 4 and try to get the position back. And now we've seen, that's another driver that's joined the party. That's Brandon Evans in that 39 machine, I believe, who's closed the gap. No, correction, that is a lap car back there with the rest of the field. Brandon Evans is about a second behind this lead pack. That's the 73 machine. I want to say of Kenneth Bartholomew, a lap car who's joined the lead group of 5, but he is not racing for positions, ladies and gentlemen.
That's something to know because I think if he's just 1 down, it's just trying to stay with that lead pack. If you go pretty much more than 2 laps down in the top NASCAR series, your race is relatively over, so it's important for him, if he is only 1 down, to stay 1 down at this early portion of the race.
Yeah, it looks like he's closer to 3 laps down, unfortunately. So the 73 has a lot of work to overcome. But now we have a brand new leader. That's Steve Tucker. Last week's winner at Daytona has gotten by Jamie Barkas, and he looks pretty comfortable up front. Already pulling out to about a 4-car length lead down the Nellis straightaway on the backstretch. Boston, Massachusetts native, looking pretty comfortable up front on lap 27 as we go towards lap number 28 here at Las Vegas. All green flag action so far. Very clean race. We've had a couple of close calls though, Blake. Looking forward to first round of green flag pit stops anytime in about the next 20 laps based on pit strategy.
Be really interesting to see how the strategy will play out. Is the undercut going to be more important, or is the overcut? So pretty much undercut and overcut is being the first one to pit and having the freshest tires on track. Or are you going to try to stay out and hope for a yellow to come out and trap a bunch of cars one lap down?
Yeah, and that's a great point, Blake. The advantage of being the first person on fresh tires, although you may go a lap down originally, you may make up so much ground if someone waits too long to put on tires that if we have a full, complete green flag pit cycle, no cautions, you could gain seconds on the driver who was ahead of you or behind you at that time by pitting a little bit earlier. So interesting to see how that plays out as we're looking at the 73 lap machine of Kenneth Bartholomew underneath Patrick Drabick, not for position, but he feels like he's fast enough to get through this field, doesn't really want to be around any of these leaders for the time being. But this has opened up Brandon Evans slowly closing the gap here to the top 5 in that lap car, and he's bringing along Cody McIlwain with him. We're starting to see that front group that broke away starting to be slowly reeled back in. Maybe they went out a little too hard, a little too fast.
Something to note about that lap car, I think he was in pit road earlier in the race, and that might be showing how big of the advantage is with fresh tires. I wonder if that's going to make some drivers think about pitting the next few laps.
Yeah, he did pit, I want to say, all the way back on lap number 17, so he does have fresh tires, and he's using them to his advantage. He's about to try and get one of his laps back on Steve Tucker here shortly, as we're single file throughout most of the field at this point in time. Not a lot of major battles are looking back throughout the pack, but drivers really trying to find their rhythm right now and trying to work through this long stretch here as we're on lap 31. This is a decent size run already, Blake, and you're definitely putting a lot of stress on the drivers and the tires.
This is, and especially mental fatigue as well, with the pack being as tight as it was further back in the field, and even up front as well. I mean, the racing we had earlier on the race, and there goes Steve Tucker allowing the lap machine to go by, which I think that's a good call. No point putting yourself at risk, or if that driver tries to an aggressive pass to the inside, it's not worth the risk at all. Driver out of Boston, Massachusetts, my home state, so we'll see another Massachusetts driver out there.
Yeah, there's not many of you, especially on the NASCAR side, I will say, Blake. Generally, it's a lot of drivers from the south, but as we look now further back, that's Jake Ellingson looking to the inside of Jamie Barkas, trying to get the second position here shortly. He was not part of this original breakaway group before, but he has found speed late as he got a little bit on the paint there, got super loose, had to chase the car up the track there, Blake. Kind of, it doesn't look like a lot, but if you just get a little bit on the apron in these corners, it can really upset the handling of these cars.
And something to note with these cars, if it starts getting sideways, it's almost practically gone. So it's any little slide, it might not look like a lot, especially from these cameras, but I mean, it's extreme. I mean, look at the side drafting here with the cars number 39 and 07. I mean, that's tight quarters racing here. Oh my goodness, right on the quarter. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. That's Brandon Evans. Whoa, they're close again. They're off the 2. That's Brandon Evans who's closed the gap. He's brought Cody McIlwain, that number 6 Ford, right behind him in that inside lane. And they're racing now, trying to get by Patrick Drabick and Mark McCrary. See, Jake Ellingson still yet to make the pass on Jamie Barkas, but those two drivers have closed the gap, and they're starting to work their way through this lead group of 5. Brandon Evans, guy who made a lot of bold moves last week at Daytona, went to the back a couple of times, got back towards the front. Didn't pan out for him as the winner was, again, Steve Tucker, your current race leader, but he's moved back up inside the top 5, call it 4th position. This same Brandon Evans won 8 races last season in the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series, Blake. So a very, very talented driver, knows how to work his way through the field. Didn't have a great qualifying effort, or as good of a qualifying effort as he had hoped, but now he's working his way back up through the field.
100%. It's interesting to see, some of the different mentalities here. Maybe some drivers might not be full time, and interesting to see the aggression level differences in the field. So, like, some drivers might be, thinking, points at the end of the day. Let's not get involved with something early. Might back out of some of these more sketchy situations. And other drivers that, just going for the win here tonight, or with an aggressive mindset, or just going right after.
Yeah, as we We see him now riding on board with Brandon Evans' machine. Now we're looking back at Cody McGillen. He's looking to get by. That's Patrick Drabeck in the 07. Mark McCreary stuck on the outside as we're looking throughout the field here. And you can see, you know, just how much these drivers are moving around, but they're all generally preferring that bottom lane through the bumps here right now, Blake, in 1 and 2. But when it comes to 3 and 4, it's a pretty big range of what lane they like to run.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen cars all the way against the outside wall, nearly scraping the fence. I'm surprised we haven't seen any of that just yet. Maybe later on in the tire run, but we must be getting pretty close to that fuel window.
Yeah, working on lap 38 now. And I think, Blake, maybe another reason drivers don't feel the need to go to the fence is we are running this race at night. You're not going to build up as much heat in the track as you would during a day race. We have seen iRacing make adjustments to wherever you run more. It's supposed to heat up and it's supposed to create a more dynamic racing line. The problem is when you run at night and it's 66 degrees out, the track can only get so hot. So we may not see drivers have to search for grip as much as we would maybe during a day race at Las Vegas.
Very true, with only about 70 degrees track time. That is a very good point. So, but as Steve Tucker right now has gone out to 1.3 second lead. Here he is right now, coming to camera shot right now. Right back there, second place. That's about 1.3 second gap. As you can tell in racing terms, that is quite a big gap.
Yeah, the largest lead we've seen so far of the night. Really, most of the field seems to be single file right now. So we're going to talk about Crusin Classics here, our title sponsor for the Crusin Classics Next Gen Series. Crusin Classics has been buying and selling cars for a long time. Originally, most were your daily drivers, but their passion has always been those classic muscle cars and hot rods. In 1996, they bought a 56,000 square foot facility in Columbus, Ohio, that they still operate out of today. Crusin Classics, where you want to go for all of your classic muscle cars, but also some pretty nice old school sports cars and supercars in a way. I was on the website the other day, Blake. They had a 1991 Acura NSX in pristine condition, like looked amazing. But they also have a 1961 Jaguar XKE, which I saw that one and I almost died. Definitely outside of my price range, but if you are looking for your next hot rod or muscle car, look up Crusin Classics and check them out in Columbus, Ohio, your title sponsor for the Crusin Classics Next Gen Series here at Goat Locker Racing on the NASCAR 360 Racing Network. Because we're back to the action here. That's Bryson Myers. I think he's now closed the gap here. He's trying to work his way around Mark McCreary. That 11 machine, we saw, you know, he was almost involved in an incident earlier, Blake, was able to kind of gather up the car, and now he's working his way further inside the top 10.
Something to know right now, most drivers are running almost the exact same lap times. Pretty much everyone's running 29 sixes. You know, some drivers are running 5s or 7s out there on track, but pretty much everyone's kind of within this small window of about a tenth or two on the racetrack.
Yeah, you're speaking to the best lap times. Right now, though, last lap by, Steve Tucker ran a 30.5, Jamie Barkas. So we're seeing a little bit of tire fall off, Blake, but 9/10 of a second isn't a lot in 40 laps, right? We talk about how important tire fall off is to quality racing. We haven't seen it yet tonight. Maybe it's because of the cooler track conditions, maybe because of these cars are handling as well as we expected them to, but not a lot of fall off from these drivers' best lap times of the night to the current. As we see now, Patrick Drabeck under attack from Bryson Myers, trying to make the move here on the front straightaway. So they're about to enter 1 and 2. Myers will have the preferred line, it seems, so far tonight, being the bottom, but Drabeck powered through on the outside. What a turn there by him.
And that move on the outside, being able to pinch a competitor like that on exit of the corner, that shows how much faith you can have on that driver on the bottom there. Obviously, Patrick trusts that 11 machine quite a lot there. That's a pretty cool move to see.
Yeah, as we're looking at those two Chevy Camaro ZL1s battling. Mark McCreary is now going to try to be the next driver to get by Drabeck. But now back up front here, we have Cody McGillen and Brandon Evans side by side. That's for the 4th position. McGillen's working his way through the field. Oh, a little bit of contact there. Oh. Contact again. Oh, that was almost disastrous, Blake.
That really was. I mean, you saw how sideways he was, got the fence a little bit. So now at that point as a driver, you start maybe giving him a little bit more space, just apologize over voice that. You know, it wasn't intentional at all, but you know, they're still racing side by side at one of the Russian levels. We're going to start getting a little higher here.
Yeah, as we see that kind of view we saw on the front straight really does pronounce the difference in the nose types, right, of the new Ford. Oh, that 6 machine struggling. Ooh, shot up the track really bad there, 1 and 2. Brandon Evans holds on to the position for the time being, but that gap front, it's coming down a little bit, Blake. Call it 0.6 of a second right now between Steve Tucker and Jamie Barkas. Although he hasn't gotten there yet, it is coming down a little bit.
And it has come down significantly. I think we were talking about a 1.3 second advantage earlier in the race. I mean, that is a quite substantial margin to cut down on the leader in that short amount of time. Obviously, just like I was talking about earlier, the 3 is running all the way against the fence. I think at least off of 2 that was. Curious to see if he's going to be running up there. Oh, that might have been a lap machine. My apologies. But the 15 running all the way along the ball. My bad.
Yeah, that's the 3 of Dustin Hardy, who's gone a lap down. Now, as you see, pit stops. Here we go. Pit stops have happened. Jamie Barkas and Jake Ellingson, the first drivers to come down pit road. And he's going to bring more. Patrick Drabeck, Mark McCrary, Kyle Westby, and more are coming down pit road. And this is the time, right, Blake? We see drivers making it 47, 48 laps. Maybe they think they can stop it and just get a little bit more on the back as we see other drivers staying out. So we know that they're not pitting on empty tanks, Blake, but how important is it in a race that's gone green to not make a mistake on pit road?
I mean, it's crucial. I mean, like, for instance, the 83 there, overshooting his pit box. This is a long stop. He hasn't even gotten the box yet. That's relatively his race over. I hate to say it, but I mean, Mark's race is relatively over with that mistake there, going over the box and having to reverse back. You lose so much time, and especially speeding the pits around this place. I mean, it's going to be pretty much a race center if you make any mistake around this place.
Yeah, right now it looks like our top 9 are still out on track, have not yet pitted. Your leader still Steve Tucker. He's going to go another lap. He doesn't seem to be too phased. He did have a lead, but that lead was shrinking a little bit as we were coming around. Right before pit stop started, it looked like Jamie Barkas was closing the gap, had ran about 0.2 of a second faster the lap prior to coming down pit road. Decides to come down early. Now Brandon Evans inherits second, Cody McGillen inherits third, but looking at the rest of the field, now we're seeing more drivers come down pit road. That's John Anthony, Steve. And here comes your leader, Steve Tucker. Oh, he's going to be close on this car.
Oh man, that's some of the disadvantages of pitting a little bit later. You might catch a little bit of traffic, but at the same time, the pit stop will be a little bit quicker, at least on fuel, because you're not having to take as much fuel as some of the other drivers that pitted earlier in the race.
And Blake, I like to draw certain parallels to the real world. That almost looked like what could have been the Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney incident at Homestead. If you remember that race last year, Larson caught up to Blaney rather rapidly entering pit road and had to go to the outside and ended up crashing into the sand barrels there. There are no sand barrels, thankfully, here at Las Vegas. You just go out into the infield grass, but that could have been a disastrous moment for your leader, Steve Tucker.
That really could have been. If he was outside the cone there, it would have been pretty much an unsafe pit entry, which would have absolutely ruined his race. As we're looking at this, 42 was the leader here for second, is the leader right now. Colby Lansford is currently second place. Robert Barber in the third place right now. But I have to say, Ray, I like to read the comments. We love seeing all the interactions in the chat. Keep it up, you guys. Really appreciate all the interactions.
And we appreciate those 34 currently tuning in here on YouTube on the NASCAR 360 Racing Network for the Goat Locker Racing's Cruising Classics Next Gen Series Round 2 at Las Vegas. Right now, based off pit stop cycles, it looks like Jamie Barkas will inherit the lead once Bobby Germain and Colton Lanford pit. Robert Barber actually pitted back on lap 34, Blake. So he pitted significantly earlier than everyone else. He pit lap 34. He's trying a completely different strategy from everyone else. Meanwhile, the big set of stops was Jamie Barkas. He'll inherit the lead in the long term, unless we think Robert Barber can do 66 laps on a tank of fuel. As you see there on our pit graphic there, all the way back on lap 34 is when Barber came in. Barkas came in on lap 47 along with Ellingson. Tucker just came in on lap, I want to say, number 50. So very, very differing pit strategies. Bobby Germain was your leader. He just pits. Colton Langford still the only driver to not yet pit so far, Blake. But interesting to see. Different strategy here from Barber in that 57. But, man, he is struggling with the handling of that car.
He really is struggling, but I'm interested to see how this strategy is going to play out. I mean, obviously right now his tires are going to be a lot more worn than these other drivers, but there's going to be that point where it might equalize out. It'll be interesting to see if he's going to have a net gain.
Yeah, last lap by, Barber ran a 29.8. Jamie Barkas ran a 29.7. Your leader, Colton Lanford, ran a 31.7. He stays out for another lap. So those two drivers are lapping over a second faster than your leader, almost 2 seconds faster than your leader, Colton Lanford. They're about 12 seconds behind him on the track, so they should catch him in about 5 to 6 laps time. As we look back over at your leader, the number 25, Colton Langford. He is pitting. No, he's going to lose it. Can he save? Oh, what a save. What a
My
save, Blake.
goodness. I mean, that has to be save of the night, in my opinion, right now. That was incredible.
Wow, the Highland Ranch, Colorado driver. I mean, that is as far gone as we've ever seen a driver in the next gen car.
Yeah, I was about to say, especially at next gen. I mean, once those things hit even a little bit sideways, like I said earlier, they're practically gone. So, I mean, that is an just incredible save. I mean, that's all I can really say. But as you look at the Flow Racing Chevrolet Camaro SS, Robert Barber currently leading the race here. Like you said earlier, on a different strategy, that Flow Racing machine.
Yeah, you see the driver in second who pitted 13 laps later. That's Jamie Barkas. He's closed the gap, call it half a second now, and it's going to get even closer. He was about 0.4 of a second faster last time. This past time, he was about 0.6 of a second faster. So that gap is closed. It should only be about a couple more laps until I believe that pass is completed. Unfortunately, Colton Langford, due to his strategy and also almost wrecking on a pit road, he's gone a lap down. We just saw him getting off pit road as the leaders went by, but lead change going to be new leader, number 15, Jamie Barkas from Pensacola, Florida, home of Naval Aviation. So Goat Locker Racing, obviously a veteran 501c focused group, Pensacola native. Now taking the lead here, Robert Barber will fall to second. We look further back, 3 seconds back to the next driver on the same pit strategy between the leader and third place. That's Jake Ellingson. And then you have to go all the way back almost 5 seconds to Steve Tucker, who's lost another spot to Patrick Drabick in the 07 machine. But Blake, we saw this early on. Tucker was not as fast as everyone for about the first 20 laps. And then he kind of pulled away from about lap 20 to about lap 40. So we'll have to see if that holds true again.
I wonder what he learned from that run, because obviously you saw at the end of the run, he started getting caught at a rapid pace. So I wonder if he went a little bit, and once he got that lead, he pushed a little bit too hard, and now he realized, I have to maybe take care of myself a little bit more this run. Obviously right now he's trying to get around that 07 machine, and Patrick trying to get around him. You're looking stiff into the inside of that new Toyota front end.
Yeah, that Camry DSE front end. I mean, some people did not like it when it was released, Blake. I personally find it to be very nice looking, very sleek, very modern, kind of like how the new Ford Mustang knows look. The Dark Horse, I think, also looks great. The Camaro is iconic in racing. I don't think that'll change for a while, but I don't hate the two changes from the Ford and the Toyota camps.
I fully agree. And then the Dark Horse looks pretty good in the Xfinity car style. We don't have that yet in iRacing, but the Dark Horse looks really, 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 really good on an Xfinity car.
Yeah, as we're looking here at the battle for fourth position between Patrick Drabick and Steve Tucker. Brandon Evans is a little bit further back. He's about 1.5 seconds back down the road in the sixth position at 39 Chevrolet. Back up front, though, Jamie Barkas has now almost a 3-second lead over Robert Barber. That tire advantage is clearly showing at this point, still running about 0.7 of a second faster. That's a lap car behind your leader, Jamie Barkas, right now. No need to battle that lap car. You kind of just let him go. Let him do his own thing there. That's John Anthony in the 23rd position. It's not worth putting yourself in a bad position as a leader, Blake, when you have a lead over 3 seconds.
No, not at all. And you tend to see the same thing happen in F1, Brazil back in whatever year that was. Max Verstappen had that issue with the lap machine in the turn 1 in Brazil or turn 2 in Brazil. The lap car has nothing to lose versus the leader has everything to lose. So you have to race smart here. For instance, like give the doubles here, just let them go. You know what I mean? There's nothing really to lose here unless you're just trying to keep every car 1 lap down in case of that yellow flag and trying not to let any more cars stay on that lead lap. But something to note, Steve Tucker, for his strategy, I think he needs to get around the 07 as soon as possible. Because riding behind other cars, you're just going to overheat that right front, overheat those tires in the dirty air. So you kind of have to make up your mind now. Either you're going to go or you're going to have to save. You can't ride behind him, I think, too much longer without starting to lose that new tire advantage.
Yeah, and we see, the benefit of the undercut happening, right, with Jamie Barkas, Jake Ellingson, and Patrick Drabick getting around Steve Tucker, who pitted on lap 50. Those other 3 pit on lap 47. Robert Barber's still in third, but he is fading fast. He was about 0.5 of a second slower. Now you're going to see Drabick and Tucker both get around the number 57 Robert Barber, their hero, on the outside, that 57 Flow Racing Chevrolet. So move those 2 drivers up into the 3rd and 4th position, move Robert Barber back to 5th. We'll see how long he can hold on, so he's going to have to now face a challenge from Brandon Evans in a little bit of time. But there's Colton Langford on fresher tires than these drivers. He's going to try to get back. We're going 3 wide here in 1 and 2 down on the apron. They don't have to give him room. It's going to be tight. And it looks like Tucker's going to back out there.
That was really smart move on Steve Tucker. I think that lap car was already committed to the bottom. Now Steve Tucker might have a chance to set up the 07. If they're still side by side, maybe try to run a little bit higher, try to wound up that engine, and try to get a run off of 4 here.
Yeah, this may have helped Tucker, but it may hurt him if Langford can't complete the pass here on Drabick coming down the front straightaway. He could use it to his advantage, maybe lock bumpers down the front or the back straightaway with this lap car, try to push him clear, knowing he has fresher tires than both of them. But working with Drabick, it's going to be hard to get by this 25 machine as he's going to hold the bottom here in 1 and 2. Tucker's going to now dive down to the bottom on late apex there off of 2 and try and get a big run down this back straightaway, the Nellis straightaway here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But this lap car is throwing a wrench in both of their plans if they want to close the gap to your leader, Jamie Barkas.
100%. And then it's like you said, it's costing them both time here trying to catch up to that leader. Obviously, the 25 is trying to get a lap back and trying to save his own race. That's the interesting thing about racing. There's so many different strategies going at the same time. But here, look at the 6. Cannot miss that car on track. Picked up a spot over the 57, who, like we said, is on an alternate strategy. He has to be my pick, in my opinion. He's starting to come alive here towards the end of the run, it seems like, as well. But obviously, here goes the 25. He's finally cleared the 07 machine. Steve Tucker, I wonder where he is right now, trying to set up a run on that 07. He might be on the inside. It might be side by side. There he is. You see him at the door, or on the 8 post there to the inside of him. Side by side, here we go, through turns number 1 and 2.
Yeah, you see Steve Tucker try to make as much of an arc as he could there in 1 and 2. He's going to try to get the run. Drabick close to that outside wall off of 2. Not a big momentum shift for the outside car. We generally expect that car to have more momentum down the straightaways. Didn't have a great exit. Probably had to lift the throttle just a little bit there, Blake. Tucker's going to try to make this pass here off of 4. Can't get it done this time by. He can't wait much longer because Brandon Evans and Cody McGillen are coming. They are moving forward at a rapid pace. They are 2 of the faster cars on track. And if these 2 drivers keep battling side by side for much longer, they're going to get caught.
100%. And right now, Steve Tucker is running about 4.38 seconds behind the leader. I mean, sooner than later, I think Steve is going to have to kind of send it a little bit deeper, maybe have to use up the 07 to get around him. I mean, you have to start using a little bit of aggression as they're almost door banging down the front straightaway here in the morning.
And this may be the aggression you're talking about, right, Blake? As they're both trying to close the gap to that leader. Both ran a little bit slower than the leader that last lap by. Oh, white there on the white paint. That's going to hurt Tucker there in 1 and 2. He'll lose some momentum to Drabick in the 07. He's going to probably have to get back in line. Nope, able to side draft on the inside. Oh, that's as close as you can get, Blake.
That really is, and definitely those 7 felt. Oh, I think he's cleared him. He's nearly cleared him. He has. Steve Tucker, that move paid off. Like I said about the aggression, it has paid off for Steve Tucker. Now it's interesting to see here if the 07 can kind of take a run back, but it looks like the 39 going to come to the outside of the 07.
Yeah, Brandon Evans has said, well, you 2 gentlemen were fighting. I've joined the party. He's going to make the move around the outside of the 07. I think that's the way to do it right now. The momentum, get it through. We saw Tucker make the pass on the inside, but it was hard. And he actually kind of almost had to use up the 07 in a way where the 07, I think, got nervous about contact entering 3 and 4 and went way too far up the racetrack. Evans clears the 07 rather quickly, unlike Tucker, who took several laps to get by. And now you're seeing a different race taking place. These drivers, though, are 4.5 seconds behind your race leader, Jamie Barkas, who is Jake Ellingson, slowly closing in on him. Call it 2.4 seconds between first and second, but you have to go back to 4.5 seconds to catch your 3rd, 4th, and 5th place drivers. Cody Gillen, the driver you talked about, Blake, he's gotten by Patrick Drabick now.
He has, but something to note about the 07, I thought the move Tucker did was really smart. I think he took some of the air off. Here comes the 39. I think looking to the inside, Tucker, the 58. I think a lap machine there trying to stay out of the way as best he can. But the 39 looking to the inside. I think now he's going to have barely any run down the back straightaway with that looking to the inside down there. But in line with him through turns 3 and 4, he's going to be trying to grab a run here, a slingshot down the front straightaway. Not going to be close enough, I think, to get a run here this time into 1.
Yeah, not a great run through 3 and 4 there for the 39 of Brandon Evans. But now Cody McElwain, that 6 machine, he caught up to the back bumper of the 39 pretty quickly after getting by the 07. And now Bryson Myers in the 11 machines to the inside of the 07. So the 07 fading fast, and it might have been, like you said, Blake, because of his battling with the 24 of Tucker, really used up the right side as they're close there off down the middle of straightaway.
He's kind of using that move that Tucker did. You're taking all the air off that quarter. I think he's going to be using them up here on exit. Oh my goodness, cleared up. What a move by the 11 there. If we could maybe take a look back at it from the third person view or from TV1 or something. I'm curious to see how he made that pass. We have to use him on any bit or what, but that was impressive from my opinion there.
Yeah, it's been impressive racing so far, but now you're seeing Cody. We're going to look back at this replay, this pass for the 6th position. It looks like he just kind of outdrove him in entry, and yeah, the 07 is fading fast here, I think. Blake just cannot handle it. As you see, Cody McElwain is now trying to run up here on Brandon Evans. And Drevik ran a great race early on, but it looked like that battle with Tucker really has used up that right front. And he's struggling with the balance of that car right now.
I think something to note, Drevik, I think, was on the outside for most of that battle. So I can't but wonder if the outside maybe took heat a little bit too much and has made the tires too hot or something, or just wore out the tires more on the outside lane. That's something maybe to note here with only 25 laps to go. If we get a yellow, what are you going to do? Are you going to take 4 tires or just right sides? Thinking no tire limit. I think it's no brainer to take 4.
As we see 24 laps to go, and like you said, like there's obviously the air of any caution at any point in time could throw a whole wrench in strategy. We think most of these drivers can make it to the end based off the original stops around lap 50. We know the drivers who definitely pit on lap 50 can make it to the end. It's the other drivers. The drivers who maybe pit on lap 47, I'd be a little bit more concerned about. I still think they can make it to the end, considering that Colton Langford was able to run, I want to say, he ran all the way to lap 54 before he came down pit road. 53 was Bobby Germain. Colton Langford was a couple laps later, so 54, 55. So we think everyone can make it on field. The caution question, though, Blake, is a big one to be had.
100%. And then something to note, the 2 drivers up front, we could bring up that graphic once more about the tire wear in the last lap of the pit stop. The drivers with the undercut have definitely taken the lead here. I mean, it's obvious that strategy's worked out. But my only thing is, we still have 22 laps to go. It could easily flip-flop back the other way towards the end of this run. But, I mean, the short term, that undercut has paid off. For Mercus and Ellingston, for sure, that has paid off for them. And Tucker is currently trying to chase them down, but as of right now, looks like the undercut has been the best strategy to go to.
You mentioned, though, the advantage of tires. Looking at last lap time, Jamie Barkus, your leader, ran a 30.690. Steve Tucker in third, 30.259. Almost 4/10 faster. This time by, leader ran a 30.584. Tucker ran a 30.245. So again, 3/10 faster a lap. They're only 2.6 seconds back. They have to get by Ellingson, though, who's right there. Now you see the second place battle is going to heat up here. Tucker, though, we saw him struggle to get by Drevik. If he struggles to get by Ellingson here, I think Evans and McElwain will be able to take advantage.
I think so for sure, but looks like right now the pace advantage that Tucker had is extreme over the 27. It looks like at the same time he has to lift at all or have to think about the movie side or where he's going to go. If he has to lift at all, looks like roughly though he's going to be right to the outside of the 27 right now, side by side on turn number 2. Whoa.
And that's smart racing as the 27 gets tight, but the 24 saw it. Didn't work as well on the inside when he tried to go over by Drevik. He learned from that. Like, he realized that the 27 was going to probably go to the bottom. He's like, fine, I'm going to go to the outside. I think it might work faster, and it really did. See, Evans, though, didn't get as big of a run there. He's going to struggle to clear down the front straightaway. He won't be cleared. But we're side-by-side entering 3 and 4. They're going to be side-by-side again entering 1 and 2, but he should clear him here through the middle of 1 and 2.
Something to note with Ellingson, I have to say, props to him. If you're tight on exit like that, it's so easy just to throttle up. Like I say, forget the guy on the outside and just get your run and just put him in the wall and just fuse him up a little bit. Ellingson is being smart. He's being courteous to everyone else, running his own race and not using people up on the outside, which is really respectable in my opinion.
Yeah, as you saw last lap there, a little bit slower from Tucker getting by Ellingson.
Oh,
Bryson Myers, almost contact there. That's tight.
Oh, that really was. I mean, that could have been our first yellow of the race about 80 laps into this affair, a little bit over 80 laps into this race. I mean, that, as of now, I mean, this has been an extremely amazing race with no stage breaks, nothing like that, no yellow. This has been a natural race, and it's been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, what a crossover there, too, by Bryson Myers in the 11 machine to try and get by McGowan, but McGowan powers through back again on the outside. That 6 machine will not go away, and he's ran a great race so far, Blake. I know you liked him earlier on. I like either the 39 or the 24, though, and they're still running about that was close there from the 11. They're still running about a tenth and a half to 2/10 faster than your leader, Jamie Barkas. Call it 2.2 now is the gap between the leader and second place. Evans is just as fast as the 24. I think he can catch up as we see the 14 of Chance Taylor. He's a lap down car. He's just kind of a little bit in the way here, unfortunately, for these two who are battling for position. Oh, that was another close one there.
My goodness, I really thought he was going to get run over there into 3. I don't think the 14 at all went there in there with malicious intent, but nearly drove right into the left rear of the 6. If you really drive into the left rear like that, I mean, it's pretty much you're going to end up around and hopefully not overcorrect to the outside wall. But looking right here, side by side with the 14 and the 6. 6 is trying to let him go, and hopefully he doesn't wash up. He doesn't wash up too much here, and he'll be able to get a nice draft here on the front strip. But looking back up front here, second place with Steve Tucker right on board with him to turns number 1 and 2.
Yeah, Tucker lost a little bit of ground there to Barkas that last lap. He lost just about 0.02 of a second, so not going the way he needs it to. He's struggling with the handling. Oh, big slide there from Tucker. Evans almost into the back of him off of 2. That 24 is struggling with his handling right now, and this is exactly what Jamie Barkas wants to see as long as it doesn't end in a caution.
I think this goes back to him battling so long with the 07 earlier in the race. I think he just used up his tires too much. There goes the 14 to the inside. That is a lap machine once again. But my goodness, the 39 is just hassling the back end of that 24. Obviously, looking back here at the strategy here, the 39... Evans is also on the same strategy as Tucker, so I think obviously Evans was able to just save the tires a little bit better than Tucker.
Yeah, Chance Taylor, that lap machine on the 14 last pit on lap 74. He is trying to get out of the way, Mr. Productions. He is now cleared that second and third place duo, but it looks like they're both losing ground still to your leader, Jamie Barkas. Last lap by, they ran 30.4, so did your leader, Jamie Barkas, so no ground gain. Brandon Evans, though, he's realizing that if he wants to win this race, I think he has to get by Steve Tucker here.
He definitely does. I mean, sooner than later. I mean, I hate to say it, but you gotta maybe think about using the door up a little bit here. I mean, obviously with 13 coming back to 12 to go, it's going to be crucial to get in front of him as soon as possible, not overheat those tires while being in the dirty air, just riding behind him in the same line. I mean, it's pretty much mirror blocking what you have to do. If you see him kind of running a little bit low, you have to kind of run lower like right here as Tucker runs a little bit lower, trying to cut off the 39, give him a little bit dirty air, make him a little bit tighter here on exit 2.
Yeah, these two drivers need to average about 0.2 of a second faster than the leader in order to catch him at this rate. They did it that last time by just barely, call it more like 1/10 not fast enough. Will they have a fast enough lap this time by? Your leader ran a 30.508. Second place ran a 30.399. Doing just enough right now. But right now, that Crusin Classics number 15 of Jamie Barkas in the lead, still pretty comfortably over 2 seconds.
No, exactly like you said, 2-second lead right now, but a yellow would change absolutely everything. Hopefully it stays green. I mean, this is, like I said, about 80 times tonight, but this has been incredible racing here. The gyro's putting on a great show, showing what those next-gen cars are capable of at 1.5-mile tracks, and how raceable it is and how incredible it is to watch this racing. But like we said, your Steve Tucker in the 39 here battling pretty hard here for second place. I think the 39 might have backed off, just trying to cool off his tires a little bit, maybe trying to mount another run, or possibly just overheated too much and has just lost that run.
Yeah, as we're now 10 laps to go here in this 100-lap affair at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Time is running out for Steve Tucker. I don't think he's going to be able to do it right now, barring a yellow. I'm not trying to jinx it, Blake, but barring a yellow, it looks like Jamie Barkas should hold on to here. We got 9 laps to go. That lead is now growing. Make it 2.2 seconds. He gained about 1/10.5 that last lap over Steve Tucker, your second place driver.
That is a huge margin to gain in one lap, especially around this 1.5-mile track of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So currently in command, James in the 15 Chevrolet Camaro. It'll be interesting to see if anyone will have anything for him. Like you said, though, it looks like come back here with 8 to go. It's pretty much in the back here, obviously barring a yellow.
And it's not like this should be a surprise, right? Jamie Barkas, your pole sitter, led the first 25-plus laps of the race until Steve Tucker got around him, kind of let Tucker go, and then ran him back down a little bit. Hit early, trying to flip it because he knew he was gaining speed on Tucker. Hit early, took advantage of the tires, finds himself back in the lead. It's not like, you know, it's a surprise win at all for Jamie Barkas. He came in, he put it on the pole, he's run great all night. He's done exactly what he needed to do, and the strategy helped him even more.
No, 100%. And then back to the strategy here thing. The 39 diving to the inside, got the apron. He's going to wash up into Tucker nearly. Tucker keeps it out of the fence, but like we said, the aggression levels are starting to get high here. The 25 looking to take advantage of the lapping machine. The aggression levels are getting high. Oh, contact, and what a save once more. Luckily, you can make contact with these next gens and not immediately turn around a car. But wow, this is crazy racing.
Great racing indeed. And that 25, though, is a lap down machine of Colton Langford. He's trying to get his lap back there as he's side by side with the 6 of Cody McGowan. Man, these drivers have really showcased their talent tonight by being able to save these cars, but also racing so tight door to door, so tight with the fence, just competing all night long. But Jamie Barkas has been the class of the field so far tonight. He has 5 laps to go to get it done here at Las Vegas.
5 to go, and obviously all these drivers showing their talents, like you said earlier. I'm in part of some leagues where you get L after L after L. This league, obviously showing the talent pool of drivers here, running this many laps green, and obviously green flag pit stop for a big part of this race as well. Strategy, we had a little bit of everything here tonight. Luckily it's all fallen into the 15's hands here tonight. Obviously, like you said, though, not a fluke win. This seems like it's qualified on pole. And he's led a good portion of the laps here as well tonight.
Yeah, Jamie Barkas, your leader, still here. Pensacola, Florida native, just a dominating performance late in this race. We thought maybe there was a chance at being run down by Steve Tucker or Brandon Evans. Did not happen. He's held on. Now Brandon Evans has to worry about being knocked off the podium by Cody McGowan and that number 6 Ford. Just absolutely great racing. The top 10 all night long, just super competitive, passing back and forth. Brian Provo, the backside of the top 10, he's so far one of your bigger movers with +9, as is Bobby Germain back in the 13th position. He's +10. Alan Marshall, 16th position, also +10 tonight, but he's a lap down. But back up front, just absolutely great racing, nonstop action tonight, Lincoln. We've been thoroughly entertained. No cautions, haven't gone to a commercial break at all. 3 laps to go here in the 100-lap affair at Las Vegas, coming to the 2 to go mark. Jamie Barkas is looking for the white flag next time by. But man, what a race it's been so far.
No, like you said, popsicle sticks in the air this time by. Like I said earlier, we've had everything. We had great saves. We had all this different strategy playing out right in front of us, not knowing who was going to end up where. Like in the wall, the 39 and pushing extremely hard, trying to catch Steve Tucker. Coming to the white this time by. I think this battle for second and third is going to be what we're going to keep our eyes on here.
Yeah, as we come to the white flag now, final lap here. Jamie Barkas, your leader. We'll watch the leader go through this final lap, final time through 1 and 2. He's going to stay away from the bumps for the most part, kind of late arc down to the apex, run it smooth as he looks towards the Nellis straightaway for the final time. He's been the man to beat. He dominated, put that 15 car on pole, that Chevy Camaro. He rolls through 3 and 4 the final time, just 1 lap car ahead of him. It doesn't matter, that car is too far away. Jamie Barkas wins round 2 at Las Vegas in the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. In the battle for third, Brandon Evans will take it over Cody McIlwain. Steve Tucker finished second there. But an amazing race tonight, Blake. Just absolutely great racing.
It really was, and obviously the 15 doing an amazing job qualifying on pole, leading a ton of laps throughout tonight, and evidently got the win, picking up the marbles here on the outside of the track. But what a drive. Obviously he did everything perfect. The pit stop, everything was flawless. Drivers coming up behind, congratulating him on this well-deserved win, and I guess he's about to burn down the house here with some donuts here.
Yeah, Jamie Barkas, your race winner, the Pensacola native, will bring it back to the front straightaway to the virtual fans, but also to the fans watching at home, and he will burn it down here as we're seeing another driver there on track giving congratulations. That's Jake Ellingson and Patrick Drabick giving the congratulations to their race winner, Jamie Barkas. It looks like maybe not opting for the burnout tonight, but again, huge congrats to that number 15 machine. Here we go. Now we'll start to burn it down there, Blake. Finally got to it.
I was about to say, maybe he's just giving props to the engine builder by not burning down. But looks like he's going to end up doing the burnouts. But always love to see some burnouts here. The fans absolutely love it. It's a crowd favorite. So Well-deserved burnouts as well. So what a race! I mean, I can't help but just keep saying it. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, she thoroughly entertained the entire way through. I mean, not a dull moment at all. Because we had strategy, we had racing, we even had close saves near wrecks as well. I mean, it's not like we didn't have close racing or something. That's why we went green all the laps. No, we had amazing racing and absolutely everything you could have wanted in a race.
And you mentioned that. Also, we had a lot of passing there, as it looks like maybe Patrick Drabick, teammate, doing some burnouts with them, Jake Ellingson. An interesting celebration here from the number 15 and teammates, but we're going to look at your race results here. Like we said, Barkus, Tucker, Evans, McGilwin, Myers, your top 5. Jake Ellingson falls to 6th. Patrick Drabeck, after having a pretty solid run early, he'll finish 7th. Mark McCrary, 8th. George Jewell, 9th. And Kyle Westby will round out your top 10.
Scott Formosa, P11, Brian Provo, 12th, Bobby Germain, 13th, Brandon Berdier in the 14th position, Colton Lamford in the 15th position, Alan Marshall, 16th, Robert Barber, 17th, 18th will be Joe Hobb. As we're about to see the rest of the finishing positions here. 19th will be Chris Sawyer, 18th Chris Hobbs, 19th Chris Sawyer, and Tanner Betha will round out the top 20.
Yeah, looking back at the rest of the field, that'll be John Anthony, Doug Ellingson, Dustin Hardy, Chance Taylor, Kenneth Bartholomew, and Jamie Perkins. Jamie Perkins did not have a very long race. He finished 83 laps down. And we'll take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back to talk with your race winner, Jamie Barkus, and the rest of your podium.
Are you ready?
For Murph's Magical Creations. Home to custom laser engraving and gifts. This veteran-owned and operated company engraves for all occasions. If you want one of Murph's magical creations, call the number on your screen or commission through either Instagram or via email. Murph's Magical Creations, made with love for you.
Starbase 1552 Comics. We sell everything a collector would want. Comics, Funkos, action figures, and so many more. A real American comic book shop. We are online only. Starbase 1552 Comics. Find us on eBay Auctions.
And we're back at the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Time to talk with your race winner. Standing by in victory lane with Blake Lothian is Jamie Barkus, number 15 machine.
And Jamie Barkus here with me in victory lane. I mean, what a flawless victory here tonight. I mean, was there really any competition for you here tonight, Jamie?
Oh man, I was sweating it. I saw those guys coming. About halfway into that second run there after the pit stop, and I thought, man, I'm in trouble. But I was able to keep it going and kept putting down the laps. I think the lap traffic helped me a little bit. It was so hard to pass. The more cars I put between me and them, the better off I was going to be, and it worked out. So I'm thrilled to death.
Jamie, you brought up some of the strategy there. You're one of the drivers to take the undercut, what I was calling it, pitting earlier. I think that might have been what ended up winning you the race here. What was your plan going into this race?
Yeah, plan was to get to halfway, that for sure. And then, Steve got around me there, kind of towards the later part of that first run. But I was gaining on him prior to the pit stop. And that was the thought process, talk to the team. I was like, look, if we can beat him to pit road, I think it's going to help. And sure enough, we were able to. I think we got him by a lap, maybe two. I'm not exactly sure, but we definitely beat him to pit road, and that was the difference in the race.
I gotta ask, how sketchy is it there under green flag conditions here to make the pit stop? I know there's so much pressure, not locking a tire, not overshooting the box, because obviously this race went green all the way, and any mistake would have been extremely severe.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely yeah. It was scary, but it worked. Everything worked out fine. I think it was pretty smooth entry, all said and done. But yeah, there's so much rear brake in this car to be able to go fast here and not burn the tires off that man, I cranked it forward as fast as I could before the pit stop to try to, stabilize it a little bit. But yeah, you transition off that apron onto the flat part, and the car just feels like it wants to turn. But luckily, it held, and we didn't get a speeding penalty, so all good.
Of course, all good here in Victory Lane. Jamie, I know you got a lot of sponsors on that race car. Give them all a shout out.
Yeah, we sure do. Well, first of all, we're going to thank you guys with NASFA 360. You guys do a hell of a job every week making us look great on this broadcast. It's one of my favorite things to do on Thursday mornings is to rewatch this thing. I'm not one of those guys that can watch it during the race like some guys do. But yeah, but thank you guys for what you do. And I got to thank Cruising Classics. Got Cruising Classics on the car. We got them to win tonight. Super proud of that. Jam Printing and Promotions, Veterans for Life Foundation, Right Now Roofing. And got to always give a shout out to Above the O Line podcast with Taylor Kitchen. She does great things for us, and we're getting so much support from all of our sponsors. We just can't thank them enough. And then for those, if you haven't seen it today, we did officially announce that Goat Locker Racing is officially partnered with iRacing now. So Goat Locker Racing is powered by iRacing. It's a partnership that's really going to move us forward with the goals that we have to support, our nation's warriors and first responders. And we're thrilled to death that they were willing to come on board with us. So, again, thank you guys for everything you do, and thanks to all our sponsors.
Of course, thank you, and it's great to hear that announcement for Goat Locker. It's great to hear. I mean, my grandfather was a veteran as well, so it's great to hear. Thank you for all you do for that.
Thank you
Tyler,
guys.
I believe you're standing by with our second place finisher here, Steve.
Yeah, I'm standing by here on the virtual pit lane with last week's winner and this week's second place finisher. That's Steve Tucker. Steve, the lone Toyota entering the field tonight. You didn't have your teammate Daryl Young Jr., but you were able to lead laps and put yourself on the podium. Talk us through your race tonight.
Tell you what, man, these tracks, they're so draft dependent and speeds are so similar. Not a lot of off throttle time. So it's a lot of guys running the same times. It's hard to pass, just, quite frankly. So I knew qualifying was going to be huge, and we qualified third. I felt good about that. And I didn't really know how to save tires necessarily here. We went here late last season, and I was too conservative. So this time around, I'm like, you know what? I'll just kind of blow my tires off and not save and just see where it gets me. And overall, we had a pretty poor pit entry. We cut the race in half and didn't get a great entry. It was pretty slow, and I think I lost a lot of time there to maybe compete with Jamie. But hats off to him. He was really fast, man, and got the pole, I believe, and just killed it. So, hey, P1 last week and P2 today, I'll take it.
Yeah, a great start to your season, right, Steve? You talk about it, but you also talked about how difficult it was to pass. We saw that with you trying to get around Patrick Dravick in that '07 machine. Tried to do it on the bottom a couple times. Looked like you may have kind of shoved him up the track, maybe not physically, but kind of blocking out some space. Talk about how you were able to eventually make that pass, and also talk about holding off Brandon Evans here for the last about 20 so laps.
Well, I mean, listen, it's hard racing. Patrick and I, even Jamie and I, really had great racing at the front of the race. So overall, pretty impressed by it. I felt like it was pretty clean. So, I'll take it. I mean, finishing in front of Evans any day is a good race. I was just telling him. So he's obviously really fast and last season's champion. So a lot of respect there. And him and I battled on the track last season. And I expect the same this season. So it's a good day when you can finish ahead of him for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously starting off the season on the right foot, kind of shades of Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2014 when he won the Daytona 500. He ended up finishing second the next 3 races, I believe. Are you trying to kind of recreate that kind of feel again, winning at Daytona and then try and go out maybe next week at Darlington and have another top 3, top 2 finish?
I hope so, man, because Darlington last season was great. I loved it. I felt really good. Late race run, I kind of it was all fuel dependent, and Jamie ended up winning the race based on fuel. So I finished right behind him as well, but I just couldn't have enough. I didn't have enough fuel to really be able to push like I wanted to. So Darlington, I feel pretty good about. I think that'll be a great place to try and continue this top 3 streak.
Well, we appreciate you talking with us tonight in the post-race interviews, Steve. Before we let you go, we'll give you the opportunity to thank all your sponsors and anyone who makes it happen for you.
Yeah, of course. First of all, thanks to you guys, obviously putting on a great broadcast. Goat Locker Racing. I'll tell you what, I joined this league last season and really impressed by it. Respect for a lot of these guys, and here we are back in season 2. So great to see that. They've got some sponsors to shout out. Hey, Crusin Classics, Jam Printing and Promotions, Veterans for Life Foundation, Right Now Roofing, Redbeard Design Company. And I'll tell you what, those guys are pretty kick-ass, so go and check them out. But more importantly, my Harpoon design, that car right there on your screen, looking so damn good. Go and check them out, harpoondesign.com. I'll tell you what, it's the best place to go right now, especially with those new Camrys and new Fords, the templates. Go and hit them up. Get those paints looking good, just like mine.
And it did look good tonight, finishing in second place. That's Steve Tucker. Steve, thank you for your time. Wishing you the best of luck next week at Darlington. And I got to say, I quite enjoy the new Camry nose. So looking really sharp in that Harpoon design.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Now we have Blake Lothian standing by with our third place finisher, Brandon Evans, winner of 8 races and your previous champion. Blake, standing by on him on Virtual Pit Road.
Brandon Evans, great race he put together all throughout the day, but coming up P3, talk us through your strategy throughout the whole night.
Yeah, what's up, guys? My strategy to start was to try to get close to the pole or get the pole. Almost got the pole. I was happy to start fourth. I was really just wanting to save tires out of the gate. I actually hadn't ran this track since the new dynamic track update in the dark. So with that, you don't really know. I didn't really know how the tires were going to wear, so I figured just take it easy. I kind of expected a caution somewhere in the race. That didn't happen. I kind of ran everybody down at the end of the first run, and Jamie was able to get on pit road early and maximize the tires, and everybody's running the same speed at the end. It's so hard to pass, and I don't like to use anybody up or anything like that. So try my best to keep it clean. A couple, I guess, on track scuffles, but not really anything. No beef, as they would say. But yeah, just try to drive it back through the field. I think I fell back to, I don't know, maybe 13th or so. So a little bit further back than what I expected, but everybody was just zipping by me, and I figured, okay, well, after 15 laps, I'll probably just get to getting and see what I can do with it. So.
Brandon, you brought up the fact how it's so hard to pass around this Las Vegas Motor Speedway with that new dynamic track update. We noticed that you and the six are racing really hard there. Talk us through that battle with the six machine.
Yeah, Cody's really quick. I felt like he had a little bit better tire than me, especially in the first part of the second part of the first run, so before the pit stop. Yeah, just trying to stay in front of him. Try my best to feed dirty air. I wasn't like purposely trying to mirror drive him or anything. I was just trying to kind of run my own line because you got to drive through the windshield, not the rearview mirror. And it's just one of those things. You don't really know how it's going to shake out if he gets a good run, if I make a slip up. So just trying to run my own pace and then just see what happens. He got close to me, and normally when the lap cars show up, that's whenever everything starts getting squirrely, and that happened quite a bit during this race. That's a lot of the shakeups that you saw with passing and different things, or people getting ran down, is definitely because of a lap car either side drafting or just not necessarily being in the way, but just happening to be in the way.
Gotcha. Brandon, you're finishing P3 tonight. That sets you up great with some good your points here tonight. Obviously, last season's champion. How you think your odds are stacking up for this season?
Yeah, just trying to get back into the swing of running the fixed stuff. Last week, I didn't feel like I could get a whole lot of momentum with working with anybody in particular. I tried to work with Kyle at the end, but it was just too late. So a lot of send it moments at that race. This one just trying to gain traction, gain momentum, learn who's quick, and watch people and their strategies and how they develop. Last year I was able to take several gambles and stuff worked out. Last year I took a really bad gamble at Darlington and it did not work out. So I'm coming for it next week for sure, and just keep it rolling.
Of course, and keeping it rolling. Hopefully next week at Darlington. Obviously there's a lot of sponsors that make this all possible. And here's your time to shout out all those great sponsors that make this all possible.
Yeah, absolutely. First, I want to thank Goat Locker and Nazar 360. Together, I think you guys put on a great broadcast, and I'm happy to be a part of that with you guys. And work with Goat Locker on the side the best I can, and support them. Cruising Classics, Jam Printing and Promotions, Veterans for Life Foundation. Happy to be working with them. Right Now Roofing, Redbeard Design Company, and Premier Racing Setups. They are our custom fix sponsor for the truck series. Please go check them out. We got all kind of setups and things. Also Harpoon Designs. They're the ones that made my paint scheme. So if you're looking for a good paint scheme, check them out as well.
Of course. Thank you again for your time, and great run here this weekend, and hopefully you'll be able to follow up next weekend here at Darlington.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So as we wrap up the broadcast, we would like to point out a couple of good performances tonight on the night. Bobby Germain, one of your biggest movers, up 10 spots. He'll finish 13th, as well as Alan Marshall up 10 spots. He'll finish 16th. But Blake, a race that was caution-free, the drivers performed. I mean, we had to talk about arguably the most entertaining moment of the night, in my opinion, was the save by Colton Langford getting onto pit road. What a move to successfully get on pit road after keeping the car straight.
I mean, that's pretty much a race-saving save right there. I mean, obviously, if you lose the rear going into the pits, I mean, you're losing so much time. If the yellow doesn't even come out as well, I mean, it's just so much of a time loss. Even if the yellow comes out, you ruin that strategy, and you lose all the track positions. So, obviously, a race-saving move for him. And let's take a look back at it. Hopefully, maybe we'll be able to get that back up. But obviously, that's a really good-looking machine, and he was able to do a pretty good job here to this tonight.
As we look forward to the schedule here, we'll bring up the schedule for, like we mentioned, next week we go to Darlington Motor Speedway. But after that, the schedule kind of goes away from the intermediates, right? We have Watkins Glen in a few weeks' time. But before that, I believe we have a short track. I want to say it's correction at Watkins Glen will be after Darlington. Then we go to Dover, the Concrete Monster Mile up in Delaware. And then we go Super Speedway racing again in Atlanta at the end of February. But we'll have a week off there on the 21st. So interesting schedule as it shapes out, Blake. A lot of intermediates, a lot of super speedways. We don't see a short track until early March at Bristol, but definitely a lot of competition still to be had.
No, 100%. And then, towards the end of the year, it starts to get a little short track heavy. I mean, if you consider Iowa's a short track, have Iowa in the round of 12, then the round of 8, the champion, round 8 championship race in a way is Phoenix. So that'll be important racing going into Phoenix championship race. It's kind of 3 shorter tracks, so you have to make sure you're strong with that with the next gen cars.
Definitely, it will be an interesting schedule to be had. So looking at the race results, we would like to thank everyone who tuned in tonight on the NASR 360 Racing Network watching the Cruising Classics Next Gen series from Goat Locker Racing. We'd like to take this time to again thank all of the sponsors, Jam Printing and Press, Redbeard Design Company, Right Now Roofing, Veterans for Life Foundation, Cruising Classics, among others. Who make it happen for us here at Goat Locker Racing, but as well as the NASR 360 Racing Network, Premier Racing Setups as well, sponsor for both Goat Locker Racing and NASR 360 Racing. You've seen their commercials throughout tonight. Tune in tomorrow night as the ARCA series for Goat Locker Racing, that's the Veterans for Life ARCA series, takes on, to double check the schedule here, they believe they take on as well Las Vegas. Nope, my bad. Gateway. They will go to Worldwide Technology Gateway
Check that
here on the
is.
NASR 360 Racing Network. And then Friday night, the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series for NASRA will take on Nashville Super Speedway. So I'll continue your racing action throughout the rest of the week here on the NASR 360 Racing Network. Blake, any final thoughts before we end the show?
I mean, obviously, this year my first race with the Goat Locker Next Gen Cup Series, and I am just honestly just blown away with the competition level and just how incredible the racing was here tonight. And hopefully, we'll get the same thing next week at Darlington. Tyler, guys, what are your opinions on this race here tonight?
An absolutely amazing race, impressive by all the drivers. They said it was really difficult to pass. I saw enough passing that it was very entertaining throughout. There was close battles. The drivers were able to make some amazing saves. Again, huge shout out to our producer Dean Hopton getting some of those in-race replays while we were live. Just absolutely amazing racing throughout. I'm excited to see what the Lady in Black holds, but we are going to lose a lot of racing lanes when we go to Lady in Black, really known as a one-lane racetrack next week, Blake. Drivers are going to have to really be careful in how they make passes.
Well, on top of that, the pit road entry there is extremely difficult. I mean, one of the most difficult pit entries on the schedule. So that'll be really interesting to see if we get green flag pit stops there, and it'll be interesting to see the green flag pit stops and obviously pit exit there as well.
Yeah, and again, 2 weeks' time, we'll be at the road course. That'll be another fun one. I know our producer's really looking forward to watching these drivers handle a road course, especially one like Watkins Glen. So we look forward to that in 2 weeks' time. But again, next week, Darlington, Too Tough to Tame, the Lady in Black will be round number 3. Again, congrats to your winner, Jamie Barkas, Steve Tucker for finishing second, Brandon Evans, and all the drivers for putting on an amazing show tonight. Blake Lothian, my co-host, me, Tyler Detmer, producer, Dean Hopton. We appreciate all of you tuning in to the NASCAR 360 Racing Network for tonight's Cruising Classics Next Gen Cup Series. We hope you all tune in next week as they take on the Lady in Black. Have a good night.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, it's a new life.